Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Anne and today I'm going to talk about my end of year TBR and plans. At the start of the year I made a list on my blog of 10 books I wanted to read in 2019 and I have the list right here on my laptop and I just wanted to go through it lightning quick. The Silence of the Girls, read it, hated it. Her Body and Other Parties, I'm currently reading that one right now, so that will definitely be done by the end of the month. And even more definitely by the end of the year. This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, read it in January I think, loved it. Children of Blood and Bone, haven't read it yet, I've read the first 3 chapters yesterday. Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, read it, loved it. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, read it, loved it. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, haven't read it yet. And then there are some new releases that came out this year that I wanted to read. The first one is The Boy Who Steals Houses by C.G. Drews, read it, loved it, one of my favorite books of the year. And On the Comma by Angie Thomas, read it, loved it, also one of my favorite books of the year. And then there was one last book on my list and that was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. And I've read that one as well. I made a video on it. I'll link it up above. So yeah, that's the list of the 10 books I wanted to read this year and I think you'll agree with me that I've done pretty well. There are 2 books I still have to read and 1 book that I'm in the middle of. So we have for my TBR Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado that I'm in the middle of and I think I'll be finishing this one soon. Then we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is one of those books, I think it came out in 2017 if I'm not mistaken. This is one of those books I was very hyped for, everyone seemed to love it and I wanted to read it and I wanted to buy it straight away. And I did that and then it remained on my shelves for a very long time. So that's why I put it on my list for 2019, to make sure that I would actually read it this year. And like I said, I've read the first 3 chapters this weekend and so far for those first 32 pages, I'm liking it. So on to the last book on my TBR for the year. That's Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. This is also one of those books I've been wanting to read for a very long time. I've heard it's great from a lot of people whose judgment I trust, but it's also always been quite intimidating to me because it's a pretty big book. It's over 500 pages and it's not like a quick, easy fantasy YA book like Children of Blood and Bone. I think I'll be able to get through that pretty quickly, but I think I'll be needing quite some time for Cloud Atlas. So I've got about 2 more months, so that should do it. But after Children of Blood and Bone, this is my biggest priority for the end of the year. So that's 2.5 books on my end of year TBR. Of course I would like to read more than that. For example, I really hope to get to Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the 3rd book in the Grisha trilogy, the first one being Shadow and Bone and... I have to check that. Yes, Siege and Storm. I read both of those this summer and I did really enjoy them. The first book more so than the second book, but I read those first 2 books pretty quickly. I think I read both of them in only a couple of days, so hopefully I'll be able to squeeze this one in. So as for any other books on my end of year TBR, I haven't really made a list of a couple of books I definitely want to read. I know I'll be getting the Call Down the Hawk Owlcrate exclusive box next week. Call Down the Hawk is the first book in the new Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater and it's about Ronan. And Ronan is one of the main characters in The Raven Cycle, also by Maggie Stiefvater. And The Raven Cycle is one of my favorite series of all time. So Call Down the Hawk is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It comes out on Tuesday and I hope to get the Owlcrate box then as well. I think I'll be doing an unboxing for that one. It's my first ever book box, so that's exciting. And hopefully I'll be able to read the book before the year is done. And then there are still some graphic novels over here on my graphic novel shelf. I've been saying I want to read this one, On a... Yikes. This is On a Sunbeam by Tillie Walden. I bought this year at some point. And even though it's a graphic novel, it is pretty intimidating because it's really big. But maybe this will be a nice book to read around the holidays when there's a lot of family stuff going on and stuff like that. I always like reading graphic novels at busy times because it requires less focus, I guess. And then one last book that I ideally would like to read, but I probably won't get to if I'm being realistic, and that's Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This has just recently won the Man Booker Prize together with The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, and I would like to read both of these books and then make a video about it, talking about both of them in the context of both of them winning the Booker Prize. But this is also a pretty big book, as is The Testaments, and I have decided that for the last part of the year, apart from Cloud Atlas, I don't want to read books that are too heavy or too difficult. I just want to read some fun or easy to get through books, maybe a couple of short ones, so I don't have to struggle too much to get through a book. I'm not saying that this will be a struggle to get through, and hopefully neither will be Cloud Atlas, but I do think they are a little bit more difficult and require a little bit more attention than some of the young adult books, or for example Ruin and Rising, that are still on my TBR. I could go on and mention like 10 other books I would like to read before the end of the year, but I'm not going to do that because I want to focus on the books that I have picked out, and anything that I read beyond those books, I'll just figure it out as I go along. And also another thing that's happening this month is NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which always takes place in November, and I'm also participating in that. The idea of NaNoWriMo is to write 50,000 words in 30 days, which is a lot and really difficult, but for me I've chosen to not do that, but to work on finishing the novel I've been working on for a really long time, because the only goal I set for myself for this year is to finish the first draft of that novel, and it's November and I haven't finished it yet, so that's my goal for this November. And if I won't be able to finish it in November, I'll just carry on writing in December. But that's the plan. The story I'm writing is a story that's pretty close to my heart. It's a story about a girl who has just graduated university and is experiencing quite a lot of anxiety about her life after university. And she experiences a lot of nightmares, which doesn't exactly make things a lot easier for her. And her best friend and her father urge her to go see a sleep therapist, so that's what she does. And then her sleep therapist recommends that she starts recording her dreams in a dream diary or a dream journal, and she starts to get a little obsessed with that, and then her dreams start to gradually change a lot, and it all takes on a kind of magical realism thing. So yeah, I've been working on that for a couple of years now, and hopefully I'll finally be able to finish the first draft this month. But that also means I will have to dedicate a lot of my time to that, and that of course means that I'll have less time to read. So yeah, that's going on with my reading plans. I don't know for sure what I'll be reading, but I guess you'll be able to see that in my monthly wrap-ups. Please let me know what you're planning on reading these last 2 months of the year. Are there any releases you're really excited for, or are there just some books that you've been meaning to get to and haven't yet that you'll be reading this time of the year? And please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of me, and have a wonderful day. Bye!